when they were starting to do the surgery, it burst on the operating room table,
Hmm.
and it was a big mess. It took like 8 hours. Like I could have died if that.
What is going on? Welcome to the Flesh and Fuel podcast. This episode, I interview Kerry Mann. We talk about how he started on the carnivore diet, talk about his up and coming documentary, and so many other things, and the world. And I mean, beautiful interview. I'm very happy that I got a chance to speak with him and that he was willing to share his time with me and speak about this. This was an incredible experience, and I hope that you gain a lot from this conversation. All right, this is my interview with Kerry Mann.
Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Kerry, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good.
Can you see me? You get am I?
Yes,
Oh man, dude, it's so good seeing you, bro.
you're looking good, man. You look like you lost some weight since I saw you last time.
30 pounds.
Wow, good job.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think the it would have been more, but I'm struggling with dairy.
Oh,
Yeah.
cheese?
Heavy cream and milk and cheese. Yeah, all of the dairy stuff. Matter of fact, I made a sausage gravy today. Oh my goodness. Like, yeah, it's yeah. So I'm trying to taper off of that and stuff. But yeah, man. But yeah, I wanted to interview you. I decided to start a podcast. It's called Flesh and Fuel, and it's being recorded right now as we speak. I'm gonna do editing and everything like that. But dude, I'm
Okay.
honored and glad to have you on here, man. And
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I'm honored to be on.
absolutely. So what is it? I'm gonna do an introduction outside of this so we can just I guess get in the conversation and everything.
Okay.
So my question is I guess tell me about your story. Like how did you come across carnivore and did you try any other diets before carnivore?
Yeah. I tried every single diet I think that's ever existed. Literally, I Weight Watchers, vegan, vegetarian, plant-based, counting calories, one meal a day. And I think like 15 years ago, I found the ketogenic diet. I found it through Netflix. There was a documentary on Netflix, and it was the first time I ever heard about ketogenic diet. And I'm like, I'm gonna try that. And I lost maybe 60 pounds, and
Oh
I was
wow.
feeling pretty good. And it was the only like real good success I've ever had on a diet. But I gained all the weight back, and then I gained back even more.
Hmm.
And then for years, I yo-yo dieted. I would like, I got to get back on this keto, and I would do it for a while, and I'd lose a little bit of weight, and then I would gain it all back.
So
What
with the
led me,
sorry, go
yeah,
ahead. So
what,
with the
what, what
keto, were you like eating like were restrictive eating or and not
yeah, I pretty much strictly followed. I don't even know where I heard this from. Maybe back in the Atkins days, but 20 carbs or less.
mm,
So mostly just meat, cheese, but I'd have some veggies. I'd have like the green, low carb vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, stuff like that. And I'd always have like an app on my phone, like, oh, how many carbs do I have? And I'd sit here and try to figure out, oh, could I have like 3 blueberries today or whatever? And it was
oh
kind of
that's
ridiculous.
yeah.
It always seemed forced, and I was always still kind of hungry. Like I'd eat a couple blueberries, and then an hour later, I'm starving again.
Mhm.
So I did that for a while, and my health over the last 10 years just got horrible. I always show people these. This is a big box of medications. I had about 15 pills I was on.
Wow.
It started out with stomach issues. I was diagnosed with IBS. I
Mhm.
had my gallbladder removed, which in retrospect didn't even need to be done. It was borderline. And the doctor was like, well, you're having all these stomach issues. Maybe it'll help. And I'm like, I am suffering. Just take the gallbladder out. I had multiple kidney stones, which was some of the worst pain in my life. My appendix burst. I went to the hospital because my it was hurting so bad, my abdomen, and they said, "Yep, it's your appendix." And right happened at home. And I'll make it quick because I had so many issues. I snored. I went in for sleep studies, and I'd stopped breathing multiple times throughout the night, so I had to wear a CPAP machine. And I had arthritis in my foot, and it hurt so bad, like it felt like a broken bone. This was about 18 months before I started carnivore. This started happening. I went into all these doctors. They wanted to do surgery on my foot. I'd go to the grocery store and I'd use one of those mobility scooters because it just hurt so bad to walk around on it. And the worst issue for me was about 7 years ago. I was at home and I was really, I had horrible depression and anxiety for the last 10 years. That was my worst issue by far. Clinical depression. I was on every antidepressant medication, suicidal, horrible depression. Nothing ever seemed to help. And they would just keep putting me on more pills. And then, like 7 years ago, I was at home on the couch, depressed. I went to stand up. I got very dizzy. I got confused. My wife was like, "What's going on?" I couldn't figure out my words. And she called 911. And I had a TIA mini stroke. And I ended up going to the hospital. I was in the stroke unit for 5 days. And they're like, "What
Mm.
is wrong with this dude? He's like late 30s. He's got all these health issues. Why is he having a stroke?" And they did a whole bunch of tests on me, and they tested my heart and they said I have congestive heart failure. My ejection fraction was 44, and they told me, like, just for those listening, congestive heart failure means your heart doesn't keep up with the needs of your body. So you get tired, you get fatigued. I would stand up and I'd get so dizzy, like I would have to grab onto something so I wouldn't like faint or fall over. And I had all of these issues just getting worse and worse and combining more and more pills, pills on top of pills. And I was just so sick of being sick. Like I didn't want to be alive anymore. And I came across a YouTube video from a man named Dante Ferrigno. He's got a YouTube channel called Ferrigno Freedom. And he was like, I'm going to do this lion diet. I'm going to only eat meat. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. You can't just eat meat. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to get bored. Like, you need vitamins and you need fiber. And I realized that video was a couple of years old. It was 2 years old. But in my head, Dave, I'm like, I know the ketogenic diet. What he's talking about is strict ketogenic diet. So that's going to work.
It's the
But how
ultimate
can you
ketogenic
sustain?
diet.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate ketogenic diet when you think about it. Mhm.
Yep. So I realized the science, but I'm like, this guy's crazy. You can't just eat meat. I don't care. The science makes sense, whatever. But that video was 2 years old. My wife and I were watching this video. I'm like, let's fast forward. Let's see the most recent video this guy did. There's no way he's still eating meat 2 years later. And we looked at, and you could not recognize Dante 2 years after starting carnivore diet. Lost all of his weight. He's talking about my IBS. I reversed my IBS. I'm like, I got IBS. He's like, depression, anxiety, moods 100 times better. I'm like, I got horrible depression.
Mm.
And for me, I'm like, what is this guy's motivation? He's an individual talking. He doesn't have any, like, I guess he could make a couple bucks on YouTube, but he doesn't have to say all this stuff. I could just see the passion in his voice and how excited he was to find healing. And then I watched Dr. Ken Berry, and I watched like 1,000 Dr. Berry videos because I still didn't believe it. I'm like, this guy's an outlier. It's crazy. And long story, way too long. Sorry, I tend to ramble. I
Oh,
saw a
it's
Dr.
fine, man.
Berry video on type 2 diabetes, and it said how to reverse type 2 diabetes. And I'm like, you can't reverse type 2 diabetes. I got an uncle and I got a cousin, I got an aunt. They've had diabetes for 10, 15 years. That's a chronic thing. That's like a genetic problem with them. They can't reverse that. And then I read Dr. Berry's comments, and the first one said, Dr. Berry, you saved my life. And I got
Mm.
goosebumps. I'm like, what? And then I started reading more comments, and there were like 10 comments saying that Dr. Berry saved their life. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is nuts. And that was when I decided I'm going to do this carnivore thing. I'm going to just try for 30 days. I'm going to do the ultimate elimination diet. I'm going to stop with the seed oil, sugars. Ultimately, I'm just going to eat meat, but I reframed it in my brain as an elimination diet because it was easier for me to wrap my brain around that. And I said, I'm going to do it for 30 days. And then I started doing it. And that was almost 600 days ago.
That's beautiful, man. I've been, sometimes I'll go through your channel, I'll watch, and oftentimes you'll share like your experiences. And I remember you saying you were like overweight. I remember hearing about the sleep apnea thing, which was crazy to me. I didn't know about the congestive heart failure, man. That is wow. That's crazy. And
Right.
I think one of the most amazing things, which I'm pretty sure you'll probably agree with as well, is how much better your mental health has become with this diet.
That was you hit it on the head. That was the ultimate game changer. I'm like, I'm gonna do this for 30 days. And about 3 weeks in, I had this, whoa, like what is going on? I feel better than I have in a long time. I wasn't fully over my depression and anxiety, but I was improved more than I ever have been my entire adult life on all those medications. Like something noticeable was happening. My anxiety was going down, my sleep was improving. And from that point forward, I'm like, I hit 30 days feeling incredible. I stopped snoring the first week, which was crazy. I thought I snored because I was fat. Like I was 100, I'm down 100 pounds right now from my heaviest. And my sleep doctor told me, he's like, you got to lose some weight. And so it was kind of hopeless for me, but I didn't lose any weight and I stopped snoring. And I learned that a lot of people that happens for. Dr. Jordan Peterson said that on Joe Rogan. He stopped snoring the first week
And
on
he was
Carnivore.
never even fat. Yeah.
Yeah. It's inflammation for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people, you're just snoring because you have inflammation. You get rid of those inflammatory foods, you stop snoring. A lot of people stop snoring like 1 week into carnivore, which is just crazy for me. The biggest thing that happened for me though was the congestive heart failure. That my ejection fraction was 44. All of this is in my medical records. People listen to my story sometimes. They think I'm making this stuff up. I've shown this on my channel. I'm happy to show it to anybody. My ejection fraction was 44. My diagnosis was congestive heart failure. And I also had an irregular heartbeat since birth. I was born with a highly erratic, irregular heartbeat. About a year into carnivore, I went into the doctor and I did a full workup on my heart. They did an ultrasound of my heart. My
Mhm.
congestive heart failure completely reversed on carnivore. It's normal after a
It,
year on carnivore. And that if that's not crazy enough, and all this is in my medical records, my lifelong irregular heartbeat, I'm 44 years old. I've had it since birth. I've worn heart monitors at least 20 times. High school, middle school, elementary school. I've always had an erratic heartbeat. Completely normal after 1 year on carnivore. It's the craziest thing in the world.
so with the congestive heart failure, is that something that normally doesn't go away or something like that?
100%. And that's what they told me. They said, Kerry, your ejection fraction is 44. The best you can do is keep it at 44, but it's never going to improve. And it'll only get worse if you don't like get healthier. And they just told me like eat a diet and lose weight. Like they
They
didn't
said it
tell me
was
what to do.
chronic.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
have since, so a lot of people that have congestive heart failure, they're not going to go eat only meat, right? So there's not a lot of study,
Terrified
science,
about that. Yeah.
information on this. It's uncharted territory. But I interviewed Dr. Philip Ovadia for our documentary
The
and on
cardiologist. Yeah.
YouTube. He's a heart surgeon. He
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
carnivore. He's been doing carnivore for 11 years.
Hmm.
And he says the heart performs much more efficiently on ketones while in ketosis. And you get rid of the inflammation as well. And those two things probably lead to it. The last thing I'll say real quick, since I did a couple of videos, because I'm like, this is crazy. I reversed congestive heart failure. I don't know that anyone's ever done that before. I have had dozens of comments from other people. They're like, I did it too. I went on carnivore, my congestive heart failure reversed. They saw my video and they're commenting on it. So it's uncharted territory. I'm hoping we can get some more science and stuff like that in there. But
You know.
when I went in for that test, I'm like,
Yeah.
I would have bet all the money in the world that I had reversed my congestive heart failure before I did the actual test and they told me, because all my symptoms that I had before were gone. I was standing up and I was getting dizzy and I was so fatigued. I feel like I could run a marathon 1 year into carnivore. I'm like, my heart's got to be better.
Are
And
you running now?
I was at the gym the last 2 days. My daughters and I are going to the gym every day now. I'm chopping wood. I'm doing pull-ups. I don't run too much, a little bit, but I try to like think what would humans have done since the start of time? Maybe chase after an animal to hunt it for a little bit. So maybe sprinting a little bit. So I try to
Something
mimic
that's
those things a little
practical.
bit more.
So yeah, something that's more practical than yeah, I get it. No,
Yep.
that makes a lot of sense, man. So for those of you that don't know, Kerry is a filmmaker. He's working on a documentary. Um, and I'm excited. I cannot wait to see it. If he's cool with it, I'd like to do a reaction to it on my channel. I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, I mean,
Oh man, 100%.
yeah, it, it
100%. Yeah.
it needs to get out there, man. You know, it's an important film, just like a lot of these other like Sound of Freedom. You know, like these are important things that people need to see. I mean, health is is massively important. And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, especially now, you want to, you have a family, you want to like, preserve yourself as long as possible. I'm sure the relationships that have improved. Have they improved while you've been on carnivore?
100%.
Mhm.
It took a while. My wife and I have triplets plus one. So we got a
What?
family of six.
Wow,
And
that's beautiful.
yeah, really blessed. One of my triplets, Emma, was vegan for 5 years.
What?
And my wife was vegetarian most of her life. She'd have like turkey at Thanksgiving, and the
Mhm.
other 364 days out of the year, she'd have just plants, no meat. And as of right now, my whole family is doing carnivore, proper human diet, and all of them, every single person in my family, just drastic changes. Like my daughter Emma she had acne. She was falling asleep at like 5:30 on the vegan diet. She was just fatigued and tired and weak and moody. She's completely different. All her acne cleared up, full of energy, just happy, like just the mood, everything's different. It's crazy. My wife too, doing vegetarian for so long, just everything's changed for her. It's been incredible.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. That is so beautiful. How far along are you with the documentary?
So the documentary it's getting close. People keep asking me, "Are you going to be done with that already?" But just real
They
quick,
take a
the
while to
premise
make.
of the documentary was following real individuals around and several of them for 1 year doing a carnivore diet
Oh
to
yeah, it's gonna
overcome
take
different
forever.
health issues.
Mhm.
And so that's why it's taken so long. But we just finished filming about 2 months ago. I was out in Alaska and we filmed my good friend, one of my best friends now. He's become my best friend, Bill Knott. He was 700 pounds, stuck in his house in Alaska for 5 years. He hadn't left his house. He was too big to leave his house. Just horrible black hole depression. And he was the first person we filmed for Healing Humanity, our documentary, over a year ago, 14 months ago. My daughter Emma and I flew to Alaska, capture his story. He was just starting at 700 pounds. And Dave, this guy, like, stuck in his house, he was stuck in his bed and he could barely get out of his bed. His toilet was 8 feet from the bed. He could not stand up straight. He's like a hunchback. He slept sitting up. And I said to him, like, Bill, can't you
You would
just
probably
stand up
choke.
for a second for the
Yeah.
video? And he's like, I can't. It hurts too bad. And so he went on carnivore a year ago. And 1 year later, which was 2 months ago, we filmed him again. He's down, as of right now, he's down 270 pounds. And we just filmed this guy outside in the beauty of Alaska, riding around on a four-wheeler. We're up in the mountains, just the
What?
greenery, and he's free, like for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah.
And he's walking fully upright straight. That was one of the most remarkable things. Um,
You
and
know
he's
what?
not depressed. He's not depressed anymore. And that was about a month into it. A month into carnivore, he called me up. We talk every day, and he's
Mhm.
like, I don't know what's going on, but he's like, first of all, my lower back pain that I've had for 40 years is gone. He's like, I just thought that was an injury. I'm like, no, Bill, that was inflammation, and your inflammation goes away quickly on carnivore. And then the second thing, he's like, my depression, he's like, my mood is so, I feel so good. I'm like happy for the first time in years. And that was like within the first month of him doing carnivore. And it's just been incredible. So he's a big part of our documentary. And there's so many more. We filmed 32 interviews so far,
Oh wow.
including all of the good doctors. We just filmed the last doctor we filmed was Dr. Ovadia, but we filmed Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Baker. Uh, Dr. Ovadia was the last one, and in just a couple days, we're filming Dr. Georgia Eid, Harvard trained psychiatrist. Um,
That's gonna be really good.
yeah, especially because that's the big reason. The motivation behind the documentary for me was all mental health. I'm
Hmm.
like, I was so depressed for so long, and this fixed it for me. And then so many people on my YouTube channel were telling me that they overcame hopeless depression, anxiety by just changing their diet. And I'm like, everybody needs to have this as a tool in their toolbox. That's what prompted me to do the documentary. So that's a big theme through it because everyone seems to improve their mental health, but we
Hmm.
are covering specific health issues like type 2 diabetes, aging, reproductive, fatty liver, stuff like that, heart disease.
Yeah, no, these those are all like very important, man. And like the whole excuse where, oh, you're just getting older, and that should never be a thing.
Yes.
You get better
Hey,
with age. And yeah, this is definitely I was listening to Dr. Chafee, and he was talking about, how the older you get, your brain starts to shrink, and talking about dementia, how it's the type 3 diabetes. It's considered type 3 diabetes now. And it was just very scary things, man. And all surrounded by sugar, you
yep.
know? And
Sugar is that's going to be a big takeaway from the documentary. I
mhm.
I believe sugar is an addictive drug, and we've normalized it, and it's one of the most destructive drugs. It's like smoking cigarettes. I smoke a cigarette right now. I'm not going to pass out and die. Does that mean it's okay for you? But there are so many downstream effects from sugar that we're just starting to scratch the surface of. Like you said, dementia, Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes. So much of the heart disease that people blame on meat is from
Sugar.
sugar.
It's
It's
sugar.
highly inflammatory. Uh, the cholesterol is going in the blood vessels to repair this inflammation damage caused from the sugar, and we're blaming the cholesterol, but the root cause is in many cases the sugar or the seed oils or these other things. But
And
speaking of aging, which you just mentioned,
yeah.
we filmed for the documentary. We filmed this woman, rancher Maggie. She's 83 years old. She's been eating a carnivore diet for 65 years,
Oh
and
wow.
people look at her and they're like, 83, this is nuts. She looks half her age. She has full blonde hair. 83-year-olds have no hair
What?
or white hair. She has,
Wow.
it's not dyed, a natural blonde hair. And Adam and I, we went to film her for our documentary. We spent a week with her. She's jumping over fences. She's working like 12 hours a day on a farm, just full of energy, full of wisdom, sharp, just sharp as a tack. And at 83 years old, it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
She
she's
was one of the
definitely
people,
is.
she's one of the only
Yeah.
people in the documentary, nothing wrong with her, never been sick, no mental health issues, and she's been eating this way for 65 years. It's just, it's crazy. Dr. Chafee told me of Maggie. He's like, humans should be living to be 120.
Yeah,
The
I
only
remember him
reason we're
saying that.
not,
Hmm.
yeah, we're
It's
not because we're getting in the way. We're eating these high, we're poisoning ourselves slowly with sugars and seed oils. And we say, oh, we're not dying right away, but we're all dying in our 70s and 80s when we should be living to be 120.
and
And
when
I
you
I
on
would
that
bet money
scale,
Maggie's gonna live well into her hundreds,
of
no
course.
problem.
And on that scale of, like, when you look at that scale of 120, I mean, middle age is like 60.
Yeah,
So we're not even middle aged yet,
right.
you're still a young adult, and
Just
so
getting
yeah.
started at 60. You should be just getting started. And sadly, most people at 60 now, they're thinking about retirement or using a mobility scooter or having all sorts of aches and pains because they're just eating all this food. And it's like you said, they blame it, oh, on aging. But I have interviewed
It's
so many
getting
people.
younger. That whole idea, like when
Yeah,
you like when I first got sick, I was feeling like, I was like, yeah, I'm like kind of ready to go.
yeah,
And I'm just like, dude, I was like, dude, I'm in my 30s and I'm talking like this. It's
right.
ridiculous. Yeah.
It's
And so
crazy.
yeah, and like, I don't know if you ever wish that this came to you earlier, or maybe this is the perfect time that it came to you now. I don't know. Is that anything you ever think about?
I think about it a lot, especially like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm a grown man. I'll just suck it up, move on. But when I think about my kids, especially my oldest daughter, we have triplets plus one, and my plus one is 19 now,
Mhm.
and she had open heart surgery at age 13,
Oh
and
wow.
she was put on this is kind of a long story, but this is actually a common thing now, teenagers getting their menstrual cycles earlier and earlier. I know it's like an uncomfortable thing to talk about, but I think it's important for people out there. A lot of these young teenagers, they're put on birth control to help with that because their periods are so bad and they're so crazy. And that's what happened to my daughter Lily. And they told her like there's a 1% chance you could get a blood clot from these birth control pills. And so at 13, she had open heart surgery. That's one thing. But at 15, she had a massive blood clot that almost killed her. She had to take a helicopter to the hospital. She
Mm,
passed out in her house. Her face was white. Her lips were purple. She was like minutes away from being just dead forever. And it was all from this medication she was on, which I have since learned she wouldn't have needed that medication if she was eating a proper human diet. Her
right,
hormones were out of whack because she's eating a bunch of plants. She's not
right.
eating fatty meat. She's not eating food that humans have eaten since the start of time. Dr. Kiltz has talked about this extensively. If you look around in the world right now, fertility rates are dismal. They're at the worst they've ever been because meat has been demonized so much that we're just
Mhm.
eating a bunch of plants and hormones are just completely out of whack, sort of thing. So for my children, I wish I would have found this earlier, for sure.
No, absolutely. So, so you ever I don't know if this is something you ever thought about, but making like uh a genre film based around carnivore.
Ooh, I haven't, but you got me thinking now.
Mhm.
The only reason I haven't is because besides the documentary, we've already committed to doing a series afterwards.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm ever going to have any time to do anything else like that, but I would be interested. I am in the basement right now of a movie theater. My wife and I own our single screen small town movie theater. I love movies. That's part of the reason I wanted to do this documentary. And doing like a non-documentary or like a real movie, just that sounds like something awesome to do. So maybe at some point in the future, if I ever get done with this, my only caution or hesitation is I feel like this is going to go on forever. There's so many people coming to me with these crazy stories of healing. And I'm like,
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah,
have to put that in the series later. And the series just keeps getting longer and longer and more
yeah.
episodes.
Dude, that's a blessing, dude. I can't even. Yeah, that is a blessing. Like it still blows my mind when I think about the whole thing of like what carnivore has been doing for people and what it's done for me personally. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
crazy. We
It's
just did
blessing.
a meetup at the movie theater right above my head. We have 150 seats and we did a Montello Theater meetup inspiring carnivore stories. So all 150 seats were filled with people, and then we had like 6 people that went up on stage and told their inspiring
So
carnivore
you're
story.
touching your town.
Yeah, and
Wow.
but the cool thing was like on our movie screen, it's all digital now, so I can play YouTube videos, I can do anything. We
Right.
had Dr. Hampton last year. We did a meetup here. We had Dr. Hampton on the screen, and it was really cool because he could see the audience could see him, and they could interact through the big movie screen. I was gonna do that with Dr. Kiltz this year, and Dr. Kiltz was like, "Why don't I just fly in from Florida?" And I'm like, "You would do that?" And he said, "Yeah." So Kiltz flew in and was here over the weekend, but it was pretty incredible. But my point was these stories. When we started when I kicked off this whole event, I said to the audience, I was like, raise your hand if you found healing through a proper human diet. Most of the audience raised their hand. And I was like,
Mm.
that's incredible. Like, where else would you see a whole movie theater audience full of like 150 people that have all found this incredible healing just by changing their diet? I'm like, that should be on the news. People should be talking about that more. That's crazy. Um, yeah, so it was pretty awesome. And then the people that got up and told their stories, some of these stories are just nuts. My buddy JT, he found carnivore through my YouTube videos. He's been doing it like a year now. He's down 100 pounds and his wife is down like 120 pounds, like
Mm.
220 pounds between the two of them. And they look like different people. It's changed their life forever. But
Wow.
I keep hearing these stories over and over again. And after doing that meetup, I'm like, I want to go from town to town and do more of these inspiring carnivore stories meetups because it's just the energy is just crazy. Just a room of people that found healing is pretty
Mhm.
awesome. And then doing it in a small town, there's people that come in that are hearing this stuff for the first time and like, maybe I should check out a ketogenic diet. Wait a minute, I got diabetes or depression or brain fog. I got all those things. They start thinking about it more. It's pretty awesome.
And of course, when you're doing something like as life changing like as this, I'm sure you're getting like kickbacks and things like that. Do you get a lot of like negative feedback on like people that want to debate you? Do you even like give that any attention or anything like that? Or like how do you deal with things like that?
Yeah, great question. I get a good deal of it. Some of my it's a blessing. I take it all as a blessing. I get my
Mhm.
YouTube stuff really took off. I've been YouTubing for 9 years now, and
Mhm.
almost all of it was on our homestead, which was like we're building a chicken coop, we're building a greenhouse, we got goats, nothing to do with carnivore. And I started doing carnivore, it started taking off, and so I most of the comments I get are positive, like this changed my life forever. I overcame depression, overcame anxiety, but I do get a lot of plant-based vegan hate. I used to engage with it more. And now my tactic is normally it'll be like a long essay saying how I've got blood on my hands and I'm destroying the environment and things like that. And normally what I do now is I'll just write the letter K. That's my
Oh,
response.
like
I
noted.
don't do any, or
Okay.
I'll do the prayer hands for them. I used to
Yeah.
engage more, but I I feel I tell people, I'm like, if you truly found healing through a plant-based diet, more power to you. I don't care. I'm not arguing you, and I am never telling anybody what to do. I just want to have this as an option for people that are hopeless. And I truly believe that this is our ancestrally appropriate diet. I believe this is what I believe. I believe that carnivore is the closest we can get to what is natural for humans, given the options in this day and age. You go in the grocery store with 60,000 products, and there's red dyes, seed oils, sugars, there's garbage. And the like, if you're not eating Twinkies and bread and garbage, of course, vegetables and plants are 100 times better than Twinkies. But
Mhm.
I believe carnivores 1,000 times better than plants and vegetables because plants and vegetables have pesticides and glyphosate and forever chemicals all over them. And a lot of these fruits that people like, oh, they're so good for you. An apple today, in my opinion, it's the softball size, big ball of sugar that used to be in its natural state. It was like a sour little crab apple, like the
Yeah, it
size
was
of a golf ball.
bitter. Yeah, that's the original apple.
Exactly. Like man has perverted and changed and modified this stuff to be sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And people, I think people want to make an excuse like, oh, I'm eating healthy. I'm having an apple. Of course, an apple's better than a Twinkie, but you're also getting pesticides and glyphosate and a big sugar rush to your system, and then you're hungry an hour again later. So,
Have you heard of
um,
Dr. Sebi?
yeah,
Yeah, he has a list of, because he well, he's dead now, but with his pathology, he was very plant-based with his thing. But the guy had so much knowledge, and he knew that there were certain foods that were like hybrids that weren't natural foods. Like
right,
what he said, the carrot is not a net the orange carrot is not a natural carrot, because I think carrots are naturally purple.
right.
And he was just, there's like a list of different, and then he's had foods that were like healthy, like, and they were all like plant-based, but I mean, I learned about that pathology of different types of plants, and how there's a lot of hybrid plants and that aren't
Yeah.
at all.
It's a lot of craziness. You know, Dr. Chafee always talks about plants are trying to kill us
Hmm.
because they have defense mechanisms because they don't want to be eaten.
Of course.
And I agree with that. It is a little clickbaity. Like people are like, oh, plants trying to murder me. But besides that, the pesticides and glyphosate, I think, is a huge, huge problem that a lot of people aren't talking about. A lot of our health starts in our gut, and we have gut bacteria and gut biome. And when you're eating even an apple or broccoli or some of these things, they have pesticides on them. People sprinkle some water over them, but they've done so many studies on these
Yeah.
that those pesticides permeate inside those
Yeah.
vegetables and fruits. So
Hmm.
you're eating a pesticide that is literally destroying your gut bacteria.
Hmm.
And depression, serotonin isn't made in the brain, it's made in the gut. Your immune system relies on your
Hmm.
gut. And there's a lot of science coming out around gut bacteria and gut biome. And just the glyphosate alone, like every time you eat a bowl of cereal, you're ingesting glyphosate. It's everywhere. And
Yeah, you
glyphosate
can't avoid
is
it.
an antibiotic. So you're basically consuming low levels of antibiotics for years and years, decades and
Oh
decades. And then we
man.
wonder, why are we so fatigued? Why do we have leaky gut? Why is everybody depressed and anxious? I think it's a bigger problem than most people realize. So sorry, that's a really long answer. I used to
Dude,
say some of those things
don't
in the
worry about
comments,
that.
and now I just do the little K.
No, no, I love that, man. So, I guess when you mentioned that, it made me think. So, um, I have a hair thinning, and I'm like super insecure about it, and I feel that it's a gut issue, because if I was supposed to be bald, I would have, like, I'm 42. I would have been like bald. I still have a good hairline. I'm like, okay, this is health. That's what
Right.
it is. And so I guess what would you say? Because in the back of my head, I've been thinking about doing the Lions diet, and just
Yeah.
and giving that at least a solid 30 days, And have you done that, and have you noticed anything? Um, yeah, with that.
Yeah. Oh man, great question. That would be my best advice for you. Do it, Dave. Do it.
The lion
You're
diet.
doing
Okay.
carnivore, right? People
Yeah.
that, first of all, it's not like I'm saying, oh, go do lion diet for the rest of your life. Uh, Try it for 30 days, maybe. But if you're doing carnivore, which you are, it's not that big of a stretch to go from carnivore to lion diet. And to answer your question, yes. So when I first started, I did carnivore, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, chicken. And then a while into it, I'm like, I'm going to try it. I was stalling out a little bit at one point. And someone told me, they're like, hey, if you stall out, you just got to do some sort of drastic change. You could fast. You could go from carnivore to lion. You could change, like if you're having cheese, maybe just completely quit cheese, do something drastic. I'm like, I'm gonna try the lion because my buddy Dante, who I learned about this from, he was actually started out doing lion. He didn't even do carnivore. So I did it, and the first time I did it for 60 days, and
Hmm.
I felt absolutely incredible. Like I felt so good on carnivore. I feel like I'm overhyping this, but I felt even better on lion. Like more energy, my mood was better. Just like this carnivore zen.
So you were eating
Um,
beef and lamb and
I,
goat,
I I didn't even do the lamb. I just did beef, salt, and water. I would do
not even
brisket,
butter,
ribeyes, burgers, lots of ground beef, and that was it. I
and
never
no butter, right?
no butter. No. Although the first 60 days no butter. I did I've been doing carnivore almost 600 days now. The only reason I stopped that, by the way, I was in Alaska filming Bill Knott, who I was talking about earlier,
Hmm.
and meat in Alaska was very expensive and it was very hard to get where we were at. And my daughter was with me and she got bacon and eggs and then we got like this roast. She's cooking up bacon and eggs and I'm like, I don't want to screw this interview up with Bill. I'm hungry. Like I'm gonna eat that bacon and eggs. So then I went back to it and I noticed it too. I'm like, I feel 100% on lion. I feel 90% on carnivore. This is that
Oh
little
wow.
10%, but it was
Yeah, yeah,
significant. So, and I feel like 30% probably on standard American diet, if that is anything. But
yeah.
I did lion again later,
Hmm.
and I called it bee lion. I kept butter in because like butter did nothing for me, and that was my only tricky part on lion was you got to get enough fat. It should be called fativore. If I just ate ribeyes the whole time, I'd be okay, but that can get expensive. So
Of
I
course.
supplemented with butter. So I did butter and lion, but nothing else.
Yeah, because that was my whole thing is because if I a fat that I do like to eat is butter. Like I don't know. I've been trying to find what recipes I can use with my tallow to like eat the tallow more of the tallow and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, no, that is significant, man. That is really good. Are you on Instagram?
I am. I got to get better at it. Like YouTube is my primary. I'm on YouTube all the time.
Okay.
I am on Instagram. It's Homestead How on Instagram. Uh, the problem is like I'll get people that'll comment on Instagram or Facebook or these, and then I feel bad because I'm not always on those, and sometimes I miss them. But I'm trying
Mm.
to. I probably use Instagram second most, second to YouTube.
Okay, no, 'cause I asked because when I saw a video of you on there, I wasn't sure if it was you or not. So yeah, that's the only reason I asked. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it probably was. I do a bunch of shorts that I put on Instagram.
Okay, nice, 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 nice. Yeah, so what is it? And so yeah, the mental health, the overall health has been great. And so have you done priming, and how often have you done it?
I have not. I have some really close friends that have done priming. Todd Bachnis, Carnivore Cure. That guy's got an incredible story.
I I'm glad you brought him up. I'm gonna get him on this podcast because
Yeah.
I spoke to him a few days ago in Bella's group. And
Yep.
I dude, let me tell you what happened. I was I was signed up for Bella's group, and my email was logged out. I have like 12 different emails.
Yeah.
So I can't tell if I'm not logged into one of them. And then I saw that I wasn't logged in. I'm like, oh man, I missed so many meetings, but I've been going like to like for the past 2 weeks, I've been going to like the meetings. And yesterday I won a cookbook from Courtney.
Nice.
Yeah, I won Courtney. Courtney, I think her name is.
Courtney Luna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I won her cookbook yesterday. So So I'm gonna be doing that on the channel. But I mean, Bella has um an an amazing. I don't even know how to describe her and what she does, except for amazing. You
Yeah,
like she just has this gift. It's a gift. It's a God-given gift to be able to do what she does and rallying people and building
right.
community building. That's community building is a gift.
Yep,
And like anytime I listen to her speak, it's like I don't know, it's she just has a way about her, man. And
right.
yeah, I have a lot of respect for her and her husband and
I'm with you. I got to
everybody.
meet them. Just quick side note, I got to
Yeah,
meet Bella and Max in Austin, and
yeah.
we filmed Bella. She's one of the 32 interviews. We filmed her for the documentary.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, she's awesome. I always shout her out, Steak and Butter Gang. My wife Jen, when she first started Carnivore, she joined Bella's group, and it was a huge help for her. I know, like Todd Bachnis, we mentioned, he's done the priming. He's a big part of Bella's group too. It's incredible what she's doing. I used to be more cynical. I used to be like, what's the big deal? Just eat meat. You don't need a group. But I was so wrong. You really
Oh,
do need a group. We're living
dude,
in a world,
Kerry.
right?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening. Go
It's
ahead.
like we're living in a world where we're the weird ones out. And someone said this before and I loved it. They're like, Dave, if you were an alcoholic or a cocaine addict and you were trying to quit, everyone will be trying to help you. But if you're addicted to sugar, people are like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And so you got to be around some like-minded individuals, especially with the standard American diet, where every birthday party you go to, it's sugar, it's birthday cake, it's food, grocery store, like everyone's celebrating with food. It's everywhere all at once. So I'm a huge advocate for a group. And even like Bella's, man, it's $30 a month. Don't get me wrong, like money's tight for people, but for $1 a day, you don't have to join these groups for 20 years. Some people can maybe do it for a month or 2 months. $60 could potentially change your life forever. It's like a no-brainer.
Dude, it has changed my life, honestly, because I do it. I mean, I'm my mother, she I'm patient with people, but I let her know, I'm like, hey, it would really, I don't try to, I'm like, it would really help me if you did this with me. But but I got her eating meat again, which is an accomplishment. So,
Right?
and I'm like, hey, eat what you're gonna eat, and I'm glad you're doing that. But the community has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, I've like I didn't, just listening to like people's stories and stuff like that, like at Todd Bachman, um,
Yeah.
he he's his story is closer to mine. He said he had diabetic like eye issues, and that like that's my issue too. And I'm struggling like that. If I can get to a position where I don't have to go get the needle injections in my eye again, I would be super like amazed. And so,
Right.
and then there's Dr. Phil in the group, who's like a
Oh,
wealth of knowledge, man. The guy, he knows so much and everything. And it's fun. I don't know if I even told you this. I think I did tell you that my triglycerides are like through the roof. Yeah, I did tell you that because I said I broke in, like I think I ate some carbs or something like that, and I believe that's that, and I think coffee because I was drinking coffee, and I heard
right.
coffee will raise your triglycerides. So I quit coffee as much as I like it, especially with the carnivore diet,
Yep.
because my system is so clean. So when I drink that coffee, it's like you know
Right.
and yeah, and there's never like a what do you call it, that
Crash.
I don't get that crash because I'm not using sugar. I'm just
Right.
it's just coffee and heavy whipping cream. And so yeah, it's been, yeah. And the group is I don't know, um well, yeah, you're too busy to get in there, but man, these groups are nothing short of amazing, man.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're starting our own group. It's called healinghumanity.life.
Mhm.
And ours is a little different. Like I'm trying to like I love what Bella's doing. I still recommend people. My wife's found really good success through Bella. I used to be on Dr. Barry's group, which I loved his group. It seems like there's different groups for different reasons, kind of thing. The one that we're doing is focused more on trying to inspire people. I find a lot of people that come to my channel, they're like, I need to stay inspired, I need to stay motivated. So we've got courses on our group. We've got Dr. Hampton, Dr. Kilt, some of the doctors that come in and do Q&As.
Yeah.
We just did one just before this call. We do this thing. So the documentary is called Healing Humanity. We
Hmm.
do Inspire Together on Thursday nights on a Zoom call in our group. And tonight's one was Healing Humanity Heroes. And we highlighted this guy. His name's Dwight Garlow. He's helped 65 people in his community. He lives on the Six Nations Reservation in Canada. And a lot of people in his community, just diabetes is horrible.
Oh
And
yeah, because of all the corn and the yeah.
yep. He's helped 65 people overcome type 2 diabetes. And he does it all for free. He doesn't charge a penny. And I've become really good friends with this guy. So we just did a Healing Humanity's Hero, like to celebrate. Like, I love the movies, right? I love Batman, Spider-Man, but I'm like, those heroes are fake. There's like real heroes out there in the world. So we're highlighting
Well,
them.
those are superheroes. He's an actual hero.
He's an
Yeah,
actual,
yeah.
yeah. He's not playing one on TV. Like this guy's literally
He
saving
doesn't
lives.
need a
So
cape. Yeah.
we're highlighting them on our group sort of thing. But yeah, I'm a big proponent of the group. Ours we're doing too. I don't want to ever make any money off of this. So like the whole documentary, we've raised funds for. Proceeds from our group go to pay for this series that I mentioned that we hope to
Is
just
that
keep doing forever and ever.
is that
But
due to
I'm never taking a paycheck. I'm never taking a salary. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I feel like the reason I was so sick for so long was just greed run amok, like big food, big pharma, get them hooked young and put them on all this medication. So it's kind of nice to be able to do something like Dwight is. Dwight's never charged any of those 65 people, and it's pretty rewarding.
I
Like
mean,
if someone comes up to you and they're like, "Hey man, I found healing because of your YouTube video or something." There's like nothing more rewarding than that. So I'm kind of addicted to
that's a
that.
ministry, man. If that's definitely a ministry. If you're able to fiscally do that, then by all means, you know, and 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 I think it just shows how much you really how like this is real, you know, and and I don't judge either way because everybody has different needs, you know, and stuff like that. And I understand, especially in today's economy, like people are struggling, you know.
Right.
So if you're in a position to do that, that I think that is amazing, you know. Like I think it's great that that the doctor and you are able to do things like that, you know,
Right.
and because that's one thing that because I and this is not a dig on anyone, but like I went to Dr. Ovadia's his I was gonna sign up with him and I was like, oh yeah, I don't have those kind of funds, you know. And so yeah,
Right.
so I just but I think I might have like followed his like YouTube or something. I get his newsletter.
Uh,
And so yeah, it's like, well, I'll I'll read the information, but yeah, because I did because I was given statins and I did not want to take them because of just the side effects. And for someone who's on dialysis, I don't take a lot of medicine, surprisingly, which I think is good. But I
right.
mean but it's that's not going to be long. When I get my transplant, I'm going to be on like a lot, and I'm not excited about it, but I'm excited to get my life back and be able to travel without having to put a needle in my arm and stuff like that. So
Right.
that'll
Man,
be
that's
cool.
so exciting.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially if you're going to go in and get a transplant and you can go in there healthier, down a bunch of weight and
yeah.
no
That
inflammation and
yeah.
all that.
I think it's called endoscopy, where they go into your mouth and stay and tie your stomach up. They suggested that I do that because I'm 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 obese. That's technically obese, and I don't think doctors have a good understanding of like being overweight or whatever. Like I don't know how well you can see me, but I don't I'm not like I don't look obese. I look fat, but I don't look like obese. I look like a football player. Like I have that
Yeah.
football player build, and and I think that's and so like and they did a body mass index, and like 80% of it is muscle. So so yeah, but I don't know. I think they're just looking at numbers and not, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's but I'm like, I want to lose weight anyways because I feel better when I lose weight. And I'm like today I was 251, and
Nice.
like, dude,
I,
yeah,
I told you when we first started, man, since the last time I saw you, you looked like you lost a lot of weight since the last
yeah,
time. It's pretty awesome.
30 pounds. And also I'm doing this thing too. You
What's
know,
that? Ah,
about the jaw workout thing.
I haven't seen that. No.
What? It's called Jawzrsize. I got it. Todd was doing it, and it's supposed to like strengthen your jaw muscles. And I'm like, well, this is perfect for carnivore.
Nice.
Oh, because yeah, especially you
Chewing
get,
those ribeyes.
yeah, those ribeyes, exactly. So yeah, this is it's a jaw workout, and yeah, that's what I got that, and I learned that from Todd. Yeah, and I've been doing that. But I don't want to hold you too much longer. I really do thank you for your time though, man. But
Oh man, absolutely. I
yeah,
appreciate you having me on. This is fun.
absolutely. So how can people like I guess uh talk about your tell them about your documentary, how they can donate, and your
Yeah.
channel and your socials and things like that.
Yeah, the main thing is this documentary. I'm really proud. It's completely crowdfunded. Sadly, a lot of the documentaries you watch on Netflix or wherever, you research it and they're sponsored by Beyond Meat or some pharmaceutical, or they have some sort of bias that changes the truth in the documentary. Ours has been completely crowdfunded by individuals. So if you're interested in donating, it's donate.healinghumanity.movie. And every penny of those donations, like I said, go 100%. The goal is to help people have hope and find healing. I don't take a salary, don't take a paycheck. And it's not just the documentary, it's a series we're doing afterwards. Other than that, if you want to learn more, just free information, I got a ton of carnivore YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, which is Homestead How. Haven't changed the name yet. I should probably have some carnivore name in there because I don't do any homesteading videos anymore. But Homestead How, I got a whole bunch of videos on there about carnivore, and I do interviews every week. Did an interview with Dave, posted on the channel. So if you guys want to watch some of the interviews, try to keep people inspired. There's just so many stories coming out of the woodwork. So do lots of carnivore interviews on my channel too. So yep, Homestead How or healinghumanity.movie are the two places.
That was the interview with Kerry Mann from Homestead How. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, stay tuned for more episodes. Till next time,